It's only 4:30 and it's getting dark outside. Anyways, we're gonna do a couple different things today. One, we're gonna fix this C300 that I'm sitting in. This is the one that broke one of the seat back mounts. And then also we're going to be working on a pellet stove controller for the bus. Weather's getting colder and, well, it's a little more important to get that stuff sorted out. So a couple different things today. There's a lot of ongoing projects. Like I said previously, a lot of the stuff I'm doing with this is not, it doesn't make very good videos. It's little things like wiring and connecting things and plugging holes and, I don't know, a bunch of random stuff. But there is daily progress being made on this thing. With that being said, I have not yet edited the video and I don't know which one of the two items is coming first. So whichever it is, here you go. Enjoy. Got a little project for today. Cold weather is upon us and trying to stay warm inside that thing, well, it's kind of a priority. So what we're going to be doing is building a controller for the pellet stove. I've tried using a thermostat in there and it doesn't work correctly because, well, certain parts on the front and the back of the bus are going to be heated differently and there's not airflow. So what I figured out is the best way to handle it is by putting the stove on a timer. For example, 1 hour on, 90 minutes off, something like that, and make it adjustable. So we've got all of the parts here to do that. I've got a few timer relays, another control module here, power supplies. Essentially what we're going to do is mount all of that to a piece of wood, and then I can stick it on the wall in there. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. We've got an assortment of cordless neon green stuff here, including the hot glue gun. So I just realized the battery on this camera is about to die, so I'm going to charge that, and then we're going to get to work. The rough plan here is to take this piece of, what is it, 3/4 inch plywood, and we're going to mount a small power strip to it. Then I've got a little USB power supply, and a couple other control modules I'm putting on here later need 12 volts. And I haven't gotten the low voltage system set up on the bus yet, so we're just going to use this 12 volt power supply. So basically we're going to mount all this stuff on here, power it up. Then we've got a couple of little control boards, which for right now we need these two. And I thought originally about maybe screwing them down to this piece of wood, but PCBs and drywall screws, yeah, probably not the best idea. The next thought was using the glue gun, but then I want these to be removable because this is only a temporary setup. But then I realized zip ties. So we're just going to drill some holes and hold everything on here with zip ties. That way it's removable and reconfigurable later on. So I think that's the rough plan. This is just a little, like an iPod charger or something. I like these because they're, I don't know, as far as safety and stuff goes, they're very cheap at Goodwill, and I'm not worried about leaving them plugged in or whatnot for extended periods. But yes, eventually this is all going to be run on low voltage, so we won't have to use this thing, 110 volts. But yeah, for now, I just need this to work for about a week or so until I get some more stuff, and I get the low voltage system wired up in this thing. I'm going to do a 12 volt system, I believe, and we might also do 24 volts for some other things, but it's going to get fairly complicated. But for now, we just need something that can run the stove during the day without me running in and out of there and wasting a bunch of pellets and turning switches on and off and all that. It's going to be mostly automated with this guy. All right, I wound up changing my mind a little bit. I was going to drill holes and use zip ties, which actually is what I did up here for the little miniature power strip and power supply. I just drilled some holes and ran the zip ties through there, got the cords all wrapped up. And I did wrap those in a way so they're not going to induce a magnetic field. But then I realized that running zip ties over the top of these, there's a bunch of buttons we need to be able to access, and holding these down firmly with zip ties wasn't going to work. So we just used the black hot glue, which holds really well to plywood, or just wood in general. And I just hit each corner a little bit. I'm not necessarily concerned with how this looks. I just need the stuff to hold on here so I can press buttons and do things, and yeah, simple enough, right? Well, I'm going to keep working on this a little bit. I need to get some more wire and run a few more things. I've also got some little cable clamps we're going to be putting on here, so I'm going to work on this a bit more and then I will be back. Alright, here we have the C300. As you can see, it's fairly broken. I think this should be fairly easy to repair. I'm just going to pull off the backrest, and I think we should be able to unbolt everything. I don't have a Hoyer lift here, so hopefully it doesn't require any heavy lifting. I don't think it will, but anyways. I think I installed the squeak and rattle kit on this one, which means this back plate is going to be really difficult to remove. Yeah, so you can see the Velcro I put on the back of this. It makes this fit a lot tighter, and also makes it a little bit difficult to remove. Oh, I forgot. We modified this chair so the seat rest, so the back, what am I trying to say? We modified this chair so that the back slides back a lot further than it was supposed to from the factory. Interesting. Here you can actually get a really good look at what happened here. This piece that holds up the back half of the chair and also the armrest mechanism goes to this bar right here. And as you can see, it's snapped right at this joint, right where there was a hole. So, interesting note with metal, when you have holes drilled in things, it makes the stress concentrations work differently. And also interesting note, this F3 that I'm sitting in right now, this part is about 3 times as wide as it used to be. So C300, in my opinion, is not one of like the best design chairs in the world, but they took a lot of things that they learned from this and fixed it. So, to those of you that are coming over here from a certain website redacted, that are like, oh, look, it's a permobil, it broke. I told you those things are crappy. Yeah, okay. This chair's got about 5,000 miles on it. It's from 2012 or 13, I believe. And it has been railed on hard. So, yeah, you're correct. It is a permobil and it did break. So, there you go. I don't understand the, well, anyways, we won't go into that. But, easy fix. Well, easy. Got to take a bunch of stuff apart. But, anyways, I just want to show you. That's what happened right there. Makes sense. Okay, so I think I should be able to sort of slide this mechanism up and out without disconnecting all the wiring, but we shall see. I'm going to gingerly remove some bolts and see what happens. Okay, so this part here has all the wiring in it, and I didn't want to mess with that. So I think we should now be able to slide out this broken assembly. Aha! There we go. Broken pieces. Now we can set this down here, and that's got all our wiring and a bunch of stuff I didn't want to take apart. So now I just have to pull off this turnbuckle, put it on the new one, and oh, I should probably pull out this other broken bit. There we go. I'll give you a close-up of that later. But yeah, I'm going to transfer some parts over and see if we can get this put back together now. One of these things is not like the others. As you can see, that used to attach right here. Now it doesn't anymore. And we've got the new one over here. You can see it broke right there. Right where that hole was. Okay, we've got our new part threaded back in here. You can see the bar there and the bar over here. Gotten things kind of bolted back on here. Got our side bolts in. And I think we're getting close to putting our armrests back on. I got the turnbuckles reinstalled on each side here. Those look like they're good. Yeah, coming right along. Obviously, I mean, there is probably a more proper way to do this where you strip off all the parts and the wires and take this off and blah, 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 whatever. But I'm just going for the quick and dirty version here. It has been fixed. Now the reason I'm just mounting this to a piece of wood for right now, and it's sort of a temporary setup, is this is going to be evolving and I'm going to be adding a little bit more stuff later on. So again, this is just for now, for the next couple of weeks until I get the rest of the hardware that I need. But I think what I'm going to be doing is setting up like a Z-Wave or a Zigbee network. It's going to be completely offline, but what I want to do is have different temperature sensors outside the bus so we get outside air temperature, and then other ones inside the luggage compartments because we're going to have water tanks and whatnot in some of them, and I want to make sure those don't freeze, and then another one inside. And I'm going to work on setting up a little software control network basically, or a controller that will automatically run the stove. And there's also some blowers, well, I've got one of them installed already, that pulls air from inside the bus down into the luggage area. So anyways, it's going to be a multifaceted system, and well, here's what I've got for now. So for the time being, this is basically a miniature PLC or timer relay. I don't think it would technically be a PLC, but it's got 32 different functions it can do, and you can program them all with the buttons here. So I've got this thing set up right now to run the pellet stove for 1 hour, then it'll turn it off for 90 minutes, and then run it for an hour and just keep alternating. These two wires right here are the trigger input for that. I'm going to be attaching a button to that. So when I want to run this thing in that mode, I can just hit the button and it'll keep the inside from freezing, basically. This over here is another relay control module. This one is Wi-Fi enabled, but it does have some offline functionality. And for right now, it's going to be the easiest way I have to control this whole system without being inside there. And that's one of those things where, like, if I run to the store, I'm off doing something or whatnot, I need to be able to keep an eye on things and also turn the stove on and off. As I was getting this laid out, I realized that I didn't need to run this board off a micro USB. Seeing as how I got this 12-volt power supply here, I just basically paralleled the two supplies together. I'm going to be keeping this thing for later because the next module I run on here will be powered with USB-C. So anyways, we've got room for some expandability here. This is basically just going to mount to one of the luggage racks overhead. That way I can hit the buttons and keep an eye on it and all that good stuff. But anyways, I'm ready to power it up and test it right now. I didn't realize that the labels for this relay are on the bottom of the board. I'm pretty sure it was these two, but that's just for the relay output. I think this is the normally open circuit down here, which is what I needed. But I'm going to test it at this point, and then I'm going to work on getting some terminal blocks on here and the actual control wires that come from the pellet stove, and also install a button and stuff. So anyways, let me grab an extension cord. Okay, I've got an extension cord here, so let's plug this in and see if it goes bang or not. Okay, there we go. Looks like we're good. And in theory, if I touch these, we should start the cycle. If I can do it. Oh no, did I put the wrong board on here? There was two of these things and one of them had a bad relay. Oh, there we go. Okay. There's an auxiliary off button there, I didn't realize. So that's starting the 60-minute timer. So that's going to count down. This light indicates that it will be sending signal to the stove. And if I want to turn it off manually, I just hit that button and then trip this. Yeah. Need a switch. There we go. And that resets it, and now it's back in standby mode. And then again, this thing's just paralleled in, so this I can manually turn it on and off as well. And this is linked to an app I have on my phone. Yeah, there we go. We're making progress. Okay, so I got the thing mounted up here. It's, like I said, everything's still kind of a mess. We're just making things work as we need to. And as time goes on, we're going back around and refining everything. But this here is the control wire from the pellet stove. I checked with the meter and it is running 15 volts AC is the control circuit for that thing. But the way we have it set up, this relay here and this relay here can control everything. This is our timer circuit, which turn that on. So now that's armed, which means when we trip this, it'll start in its timer cycle. And the way, well, I need to run an extra wire, but what I'm going to do is have this thing set up to override this. So I can turn this thing on and off and override that, or I can just have this thing turn it on independently of what's going on here. But right now, if we touch these two wires, it should start our hour on, 90-minute off cycle. There we go. So you can see it says 60 minutes remaining. And if we come over here to the stove, you can see now that it has initiated the startup process. So it's going to dump some pellets in, ignite them, and start burning and all that stuff. Which reminds me, I need to put another bag of pellets in here because we are almost out. But yeah, so I think this will work nicely. This control board up here is basically handling everything pellet stove. The stove itself is getting power from the same circuit here. The way I've got everything wired is there's a backup power supply that the stove is connected to, and I've intentionally left this setup so that it is not on backup power. What that means is if the power goes out, this thing will shut down. It'll stop sending a signal to the stove, but then the stove has enough backup power to complete the shutdown process, which takes about 15 or 20 minutes. That way, if the power goes out, we don't just get a bunch of smoke in here. Because, yeah, reasons. All right, well, I've ordered some switches for this. I'm just going to leave it as is for now, and we will pick back up with this later. I just finished up getting that control board put in there like 5 minutes ago. I get a notification on my phone. Packages have been delivered. This is a bunch of the Z-Wave stuff that I ordered, and also a bunch of wiring. Wow, there's not much in that box. So I've got a multi-channel relay. I believe this, yeah, that's the Z-Wave and Zigbee interface. Here's one of the temperature sensors I'm testing out. This stuff wasn't supposed to be here till later in the week. That's kind of funny. I think this should be some spools of wire, double conductor, like Belden style 18 gauge wire. And then this, I will probably install this later today. This is a 2-speed fan that I'm going to use to circulate hot air coming out of the front of the pellet stove around to the rest of the bus. Because the way the thing's set up, it's just kind of facing this direction and the heat doesn't circulate. So I think this is going to work really well for that. Yes, here we go. Here. I thought I ordered 2 of these. Huh, well, there you go. 100 feet of 18 gauge wire. Let's see here. Yeah, here we go. So this has a really heavy gauge, like, is that PVC? It's a really abrasion resistant material. We've got 2 conductors in there. So I'm going to use this to set up most of the low voltage stuff in there. Cool. Well, there you go. Not going to do that in this video, but I've got my work cut out for me, it would appear. Check it out. It's a little metal fan. So the stove's right there, and it kind of blows heat this direction. I can tell because the thermometer on the wall right here is always like 70-something degrees, and it can be 50-something back there. So the idea is going to be, since this blower kind of blows up this direction, I'm going to stick this fan probably like right here somewhere, and kind of aim it back that way. So it, actually maybe back here would be better. Well anyways, it's going to go somewhere along here, and the stove's right over there, and it's going to catch that hot airflow and push it towards the back of the bus. But anyways, I gotta find my Raspberry Pi Zero and get to programming. We've got probably a week's worth of screwing around to figure out the Z-Wave hub and controller and try to figure out which set of software I'm gonna use. But yeah, everything's gonna be run on the Raspberry Pi. So I can turn the stove on and off. We're gonna have a temperature sensor in here, some down below. And then this section of the HVAC system up here, it originally was designed to have air blowing out all along this wall here. But what I've done is taken a boat bilge blower that actually moves a lot of air, and I've connected it to that half of the system. So that can either push air up into here, like say it gets really hot and I want to circulate some air, or I can reverse it and have the air pulled back down. So I'm probably going to be using that to take some of the heat that's from in here and shove that down into the lower luggage bays where some of the water tanks are eventually going to be. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but I'm finally kind of planning out everything and how I want to set stuff up, and a lot of stuff's being delivered and a lot of things to figure out. So I'll probably just do a few intermittent updates as I figure stuff out throughout the process. I'm learning how to install a lot of this stuff myself, so none of this is going to be like a how-to tutorial. But anyways, yeah, cool stuff. It's a little bit dark and noisy in here, but I went ahead and mounted this fan up here. I'm just kind of putting it up here for testing purposes right now. I'm running it off of this jump box just to kind of see how it works. So far, I've been running the stove in here and it seems to be moving air quite nicely. We basically just want to get the air from the pellet stove, which is coming up and towards me, and point it back that direction. But anyways, by tomorrow morning I'll know for sure how well it actually worked. But from the little bit the thing's been up here already, it seems to be getting the job done. It does make a little bit of noise. Actually, there's less resonance when it's on high. Anyways, it does make a little bit of noise, but it's not more noise than that stove makes already. So anyways, whatever. There's so many things going on and so many projects I'm working on and trying to live in this vehicle while I'm also building it. I'm still on a wait list to get an actual workspace. I do have a small little warehouse storage area that I've got most of my stuff at, but sometime in the next month or two, there's going to be an actual like industrial studio space available. Then once I get that, we can do a lot more of the tutorial and repair and shop class videos and things like that. So I'm not making excuses or anything, I'm just kind of letting you guys know what's going on. This channel has always been evolving. I don't even like saying that, it sounds like I'm changing something. Well, as my life changes and as I move to different places, things are different. We do different things, we work on different stuff. I just don't want people to think, oh, well now he's only gonna do, you know, bus related or van life videos or something like that. We'll get back to whatever we're doing eventually. I still don't know what the whole point of this channel is. I mean, I know what the point is, I guess, but I don't know how to explain it to people, what it is that I do when I pick up the camera. But anyways, there you go. We're gonna call that good for today. And I will see you Thursday for the live stream. Oh, wait, Thursday's Thanksgiving. We'll have to figure out something. I don't think there's a reason I can't stream on Thursday. Anyways, we'll figure it out. There'll be a stream on Thursday. I don't know how long it'll be, but we'll make it happen. Happy Thanksgiving!